What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the best area in each Six Flags park. So we're going to be thinking about this from a theming perspective, rides, food, um, all that stuff that makes an area really fun to be in. So starting off with Cedar Point, I think a lot of enthusiasts are going to agree with me on this one. Their best themed area is by far Frontier Town. Um, You've got some other candidates in the park. You've got the front, which is basically not themed. It's just kind of a collection of monster roller coasters. You got the Top Thrill 2 area in the middle. You got the boardwalk off to the side with the restaurant and Wild Mouse and whatnot. But there's really no competition when it comes down to the best area at Cedar Point. Not only is Frontier Town beautifully landscaped, there's a bunch of animals, the petting zoo on the way there. All the Western theming. It's also home to Maverick and Steel Vengeance, which are two of the best roller coasters in the world, and just right next to each other. I could spend an entire day at Cedar Point just hopping between these two rides over and over, and like not even touching the front of the park. So, on top of that, you also have Cedar Creek Mine Ride there, with the story that builds into Maverick and Steel Vengeance, and I think the Sky Coaster thing also ties into that story, and like Snake River Falls back when that was a thing. So yeah, it's just really cohesive, comes together really well. So that is Cedar Point's best area. Sticking to Ohio and Kings Island, I'm gonna say their best area is Rivertown. So this is where you're gonna find Diamondback and Mystic Timbers and the Beast. So you've got these two crazy legendary wooden coasters. Really the best of the old world wooden coasters and the best of the new world wooden coasters, or some of the best. And the floater airtime in this trio is insane. Um, all out into the woods with the woodies, and then Diamondback over the water in the middle with the splashdown. On top of that, it's got similar vibes to Frontier Town, kind of that outdoorsy, bluegrassy kind of vibe, but it's a little bit more woodsy since we're not on an island here, and yeah, it's just good vibes. Not quite as memorable from a theming perspective as Frontier Town, but still a really great area and a great collection of coasters. Right, moving on to our first Six Flags. This is my home park, Darien Lake. So you might be thinking, does Darien Lake have themed areas? And like, not really. So then your brain is going to jump to like, okay, what's the best coaster corner of the park? And that's going to be where Ride of Steel and Predator are. As an enthusiast, everyone goes there first. It's two pretty good rides. I don't like Predator that much, but it's fine. And Ride of Steel is pretty good for what it is. But that's actually not my favorite area in the park. There is one place that you can find theming at Darien Lake, and that's the Beaver Brothers Bay. So this is the only time on the list you're going to see a kiddie area. I haven't put any of the Camp Snoopies and Planet Snoopies down. But Darien Lake doesn't have a lot of competition, so we get to put a kiddie area here. This is home to Moose on the Loose, which beats out basically every coaster on the list in terms of a star attraction. And aside from that, we just have some cute like campground, foresty theming with cute characters and stuff. So just a nice place to be in, and goes well with the unique atmosphere of Darien Lake. Six Flags New England is another park that doesn't really have a lot of strong candidates. Not all the Six Flags parks are going to be like this. I'll have some praise for some of them. But we're choosing between the DC areas and the Wicked Cyclone Plaza area. So the DC areas are individually fine. One of them has Superman, the other one has Batman. But the problem is that the one that has Superman also has the park's Wild Mouse that I detest. And the Batman area doesn't really have any particularly great rides, although it is pretty well themed. So that kind of leaves us by default with the North End, where Wicked Cyclone is. And this area is themed to like Massachusetts, and of course the cyclone coming through and ripping up the town. It's a kind of cheap Six Flagsy theming, but it works in its favor because you're going for a destroyed, disheveled aesthetic, anyways. Of course, Wicked Cyclone is an awesome headlining attraction. You have Pandemonium, um, and the Sky Screamer kind of bringing the area together. So yeah, so going down south to Carowinds, my favorite area at this park. Um, well, there's a couple options. You could say the Plaza by Fury is, Fury is the best coaster in the park. Unfortunately, the area A is not themed, and B, it shares a plaza with Hurler, and ugh. So we're not going to do that one. Another one of note is the area, the Blue Ridge Junction area near Copperhead Strike. And Copperhead Strike is a very well themed attraction for a park like this. It even has that like incomprehensible story in the launch tunnel, and some nice stuff around the queue. So Copperhead brings this area up, but aside from that, it's not a particularly interesting Six Flags area. It's kind of just a watered down frontier town kind of vibe. Um, but the park's newest area, Aeronautical Landing, around Afterburn, is really well done, in my opinion. I love that it mixes in that Carolina theming with the Wright brothers inventing flight in North Carolina. Weirdly enough, Kitty Hawk isn't in this area, but um, that's fine. That ride sucks, anyways. But Afterburn is great. The flat rides add a nice bit of kinetic energy. The theming is like, it's not my ideal theme, but it works for the region, and they do some pretty cool stuff with it. It's kind of got like a garage DIY kind of flight feeling. So I think it nails what it's going for in that aspect. So yeah, that's Carowind's best area. Going up north for Canada's Wonderland. This park, my favorite area used to be the Frontier Canada area around Yukon Striker, but that was back before they opened Alpine Fury. I always liked Frontier Canada's vibe a little bit more. I'm a sucker for that like outdoorsy, naturey kind of vibe. I think it's what Six Flags and Cedar Fair in particular does best. But the addition of Alpine Fury really brought up the medieval fair area, which used to be home to the park's best coaster already with Leviathan, and now it's home to the park's two best coasters with Leviathan and Alpine Fury. Um, Plus the new theming that they added around Alpine Fury, the way it interacts with Wonder Mountain, Thunder Run being a nice supporting ride, all the flat rides, the Wild Mouse is there. Just all these things that really bring up the vibes of the fair, and it's a unique theme for Six Flags. I believe it's the only one to have a medieval theme like this. I guess Fiesta Texas kind of does too, but yeah, that's what we're gonna say for Canada's Wonderland. So Six Flags Over Georgia, I don't have a lot to say about the themed areas in this park. It's kind of similar to Six Flags New England in that regard. But there is one piece of the park that I really love, and it's mostly because of one ride. So that's going to be Peachtree Square, which is the home of Monster Mansion. There's honestly not a lot else in this area, but Monster Mansion's facade is huge, and it takes up a big portion of the middle of this area and just draws a lot of vibes. Um, there's like part of Dahlonega Mine Train goes through here, but technically the entrance is in another area, I think. Actually, I think it. No, I think Dahlonega Mine Train is in this area. Georgia Gold Rusher is just outside of this area, so unfortunately that doesn't count. But that's a great ride too, and the theme kind of carries on over there. But it is broken up by that little Joker Funhouse coaster in the middle. But yeah, for Monster Mansion alone, this is the best area at Six Flags Over Georgia. I like the Twisted Cyclone Plaza too, with the like beach cyclone kind of theme. I like a beach town, but I feel like they could have gone a little bit further with it, and there's not much else in that plaza, so yeah. All right, moving to one of my favorite of the legacy Six Flags areas, for Six Flags Great Adventure. We have a couple options. Of course, the Golden Kingdom used to be iconic with its bamboo and King Dakar headlining and Zumanjaro, but we don't have that anymore. So the park isn't necessarily lacking, or the park doesn't necessarily have a headlining area now, but it does have some really nice ride plazas like um, Plaza del Carnival for El Toro is pretty cool. The safari area around Medusa and the mine train is great. But my pick for this park is going to be the Pine Barrens around Jersey Devil. And this is just such a unique theme. Like it's woodsy and it's outdoorsy, but it has this New Jersey edge to it with the local cryptid storyline. And not only that, it's not going for like a generic outdoorsy theme like some of the other parks you'll see, but in fact, it's going for a state park theme. And a little bit of a campground, kind of like Darien Lakes, if anything. But they nail the state park signage and just aesthetics. It really does feel like you're kind of out in the woods camping, and then you just happen to stumble into this coaster. I think it's really well done. So even though this is just the plaza for a single ride and not really an entire area, it's such a nice plaza that I just kind of have to put it here. So next up, we have Six Flags Great Escape, which is a weird one. It kind of feels like a little family park with some Six Flags attractions smacked into it. So there's two real options in terms of lands with attractions here. That being Hot Rod USA, which is that's where the Boomerang is, and a couple of their flat rides, and that's cool. It's like a kitschy Americana drag racing theme, and I'm a fan actually. I think it's pretty nice, but it is a small area with not a lot of standout stuff to do. Then the other option is Ghost Town USA, or just Ghost Town. And this is home to the park's Mine Train and Steam and Demon, Adirondack Outlaw. And as much as I love Adirondack Outlaw, I think that's one of the best flat rides I've ever been on. Steam and Demon and the Mine Train just really drag down this corner of the park. They're terrible roller coasters, like two of the worst that I've ever been on. So if you could tear out Steam and Demon, replace it with like an RMC Raptor or something, you could make a case for this being the best area in the park. It's well themed. You know, that's about all I have to say about it. But my favorite area is actually neither of these. I'm gonna go with the Storybook Land, and this is the only entry on the list that doesn't have any rides to call home, or really restaurants or anything. It is just a walkthrough with some storybook characters. But I'm a sucker for this kind of kitschy storybook roadside attraction theming. I grew up going to Enchanted Forest, which has a storybook land too, um, and I just love that kind of stuff. So it's really fun to walk around, get nostalgic for all your childhood stories. So yeah, that's. Oh, and I would give a shout out to the Bobcat area too. It's not really a themed area, and it doesn't have a name, so it doesn't count. But Bobcat is great. Definitely the park's best roller coaster. So before we get to the final entry and my favorite themed area on the list, I have to talk about the parks that I haven't actually been to. So I'm gonna breeze by these since I haven't actually experienced any of these areas, but I haven't been out to like California, Texas, some of the old Enchanted Park, or some of the the parks that became Enchanted Parks properties this year. I guess including Great Escape, but I have actually been to that one. But starting in Texas, at Six Flags Over Texas, I think their best areas look to be Spain and Mexico. Um, that like southwestern themed area. Um, just opened Tormenta, and that plaza looks absolutely fantastic. I think Titan is there too. But yeah, really great vibes, especially with Tormenta open up now. So yeah, then there's Six Flags Fiesta Texas, and you could really point to any area of this park and call it the best themed area in the chain, and I wouldn't blame you. The new DC Super Air, or the new DC Gotham area looks pretty cool. But I'm gonna go with the Crack Axle Canyon. Um, this is the only opportunity I've had on this list to talk about Six Flags doing steampunk, and this is definitely the best example from what I've seen. You have the Corey Wall interactions with Iron Rattler, Dr. Diabolical with the pre show and the animatronics, and just a whole lot of theming that looks really great. So that would be my pick for Fiesta Texas. At Knott's Berry Farm, you got to go with Ghost Town. It's like a huge version of Frontier Town with like half of the park's rides. Ghost Rider headlining attraction. Um, But yeah, and it seems to be even better in terms of theming than Cedar Point's. Definitely the inspiration for Cedar Point's Frontier Town. So that's for nuts. Worlds of Fun, I'm gonna go with Africa. I love Worlds of Fun's vibe in general with the world travel theme, and it seems like Africa is the best of it. Um, as a fan of BGT, I love when it's the like combination of animal theming and all that. So yeah, that would be my pick for Worlds of Fun. Corny, I'm gonna say the Iron Mill around Iron Menace and Possessed. I haven't been to Dorney. I'm going at the end of the month, so I'll let you know. But I'm thinking I really like the station building for Iron Menace. The sign is huge and intimidating. Say what you will about Iron Menace itself, but it makes a pretty good statement for the park, I think, with all that theming. And then Possessed is a great supporting attraction. Seems to. I'm glad they were able to keep it when they added Iron Menace in. Um, Six Flags Great America. Looking at this park, I don't think anything stuck out to me too much thematically, but I mean, you have the Southwest with Viper and Raging Bull, and Raging Bull would probably be my favorite coaster at that park. And I'm a sucker for Six Flags doing Southwest theming, so yeah, that would probably be my pick for that park. They have the area with Rakshasa and Demon also looks cool, but I think I prefer Southwest. Um, in terms of like Valley Fair, Magic Mountain, CGA, Discovery Kingdom, I don't really have anything to say about those parks. I guess Discovery Kingdom, you could have like the area around their like Wild Mouse is kind of cool, but to me, I couldn't find anything interesting about these parks. And then for Six Flags Mexico, um, I don't know. I guess I would say maybe around Medusa. Um, I don't know too much about that park. Then Qiddiya, if we're gonna count Qiddiya, it's not really in the same conversation because they have way more budget than the other Six Flags parks. But um, I don't know. I don't know that much about the themed areas in Qiddiya either. Maybe I mean you could go with Falcon's Flight, obviously marquee headliner attraction. They've got the drop tower and then the family coaster all in that area, and it's got like unique regional theming, which I'm always a sucker for. So yeah, we'll say Falcon's Flight and the area surrounding it for Six Flags Qiddiya. And yeah, that's it for the Six Flags parks that I haven't been to. So now we just have one more, which is my favorite in the chain. So I could make a whole video about how much I love Jungle Expedition at King's Dominion. I've been to this park 3 times throughout its construction for 3 different phases. I went back in 2024 when Tumbili had already opened, Reptilian had been rethemed, but Flight of Fear hadn't been rethemed yet. Pantherian was still Project 305, and Anaconda was still there. So, and Raptera was under construction still too. So it was pretty nice already, even in its half finished state. I was a fan. I really liked the huge temple behind Tumbili. Definitely one of the most visually attractive SNS free spins out there. And I liked the rock work they were doing, all the planes scattered around, the lore that they were working into the queues, and the restaurant they had. And it reminds me of Adventureland at Disney, and I'm sure this was the inspiration, but they had like the Explorers Guild at Disney or whatever. This one also has an Explorers Guild in the backstory, and they're telling you about like how they found all these jungle temples and creatures and stuff. And I just think that's so cool. But then I visited again in 2025 when Raptera opened, but I-305 was down for the retheme. And Raptera adds so much energy, and it has this. The queue is lacking shade, but it's a really well done queue. There's so much interesting rockwork and ruins and sculptures, and then the ride itself, sweeping through the area, tying it all together. And say what you will about the roughness, like I had similar things to say about Iron Menace, but um, it's so fun. I'm a bit of a sucker for a wing coaster, especially a launched wing coaster, and I didn't. I don't really mind the roughness. It didn't hurt me, so I don't really care. And it has some fun elements to it, so I would say that was a great addition, especially for the GP, since there's already so many enthusiast bait coasters at King's Dominion. And speaking of enthusiast bait, I came back in 2026 and I got to ride the new Pantherian, and I also saw Flight of the Fears repaint, which is nice. I like what they did with that building. I wish they would do something with the inside, like change the Q video to be like aliens crash landed in the jungle or something. But in my mind, that's what the story of that ride is, anyways. So whether or not they change it, but Pantherian was the main draw this year, and oh, I know it's controversial, but I love Pantherian's retheme. Um, all the temple theming, what they've done with the bricks on the in the plaza, the little like tunnel that used to be the I-305 tunnel. Um, it all just ties in together beautifully with the rest of the area. And now you have this whole back corner of the park that's super well tied together, full of great roller coasters and attractions. Just everything that you could want out of a Six Flags area, really. I kind of wish they were all like this. Um, you have one of the best coasters in the entire world with Pantherian, a great supporting coaster that brings a ton of kinetic energy with Rapterra, and then you have Timbuli and Reptilian that, add capacity, they add kinetic energy. If I could add one thing, it would be like a tracked ride, like a Jeep ride or something, but even as is, I think if they didn't change anything about this corner of the park, I would still love it. So, yeah, that's my favorite themed area at every Six Flags park. Um, Let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite area is, and I will catch you in the next video. Have a good one.